Welcome back, everyone, to yet another concussion sub-series. Hope everybody is having a great start to 2021. In the spirit of keeping up with the cricketing calendar, which is non-India games, we are bringing you today a little preview about West Indies tour of Bangladesh. West Indies are touring Bangladesh for three one-day international and two test series. And to talk about the series and everything about West Indies cricket, our guest today is joining us all the way from London. He's a co-founder and host of Carib Cricket, Machel Hewitt. Welcome to the show, Machel.
Hey, how you doing, guys? Absolute pleasure to be on. Looking forward to talking about the trials and tribulations of being a West Indies cricket fan and the upcoming tour, which is due to start within a week against Bangladesh. What I've referred to as the battle for the wooden spoon in world cricket. So looking forward to talk about it.
Great. And of course, all of you know Vishak, he's our concussion sub today, who will chip in with a bunch of quiz questions for Michelle later today. Cool. So there's plenty to chat about. There are a variety of things which we are going to cover today. But first things first, why don't you give your background about Carib cricket? Why was it created? And a little bit of more information about who you are, Mash.
Yeah, so, I guess it's being a West Indies fan in the UK is a bit of it's a bit of a misnomer, I would say, in the present day. So if you take West Indian immigration that started before the 50s, but if you take the major West Indian immigration that starts in the UK about the late 1940s, early 1950s, that generation of West Indians who came over, you would argue, were big cricket fans. And the kind of oral tradition of following the West Indies came with them, was passed down to their children. And so for me, following the West Indies has been very much a generational thing, from my grandfather to my father to me. But as the West Indies decline has happened since the mid 90s to now, so we're looking at a 25-year decline, the transition and that oral history has not translated to the new generation. And so I'm 39, so myself and Santoki, who started Carib cricket, we kind of see ourselves as like the last of a dying breed of West Indian fans who are part of the diaspora within the UK, who had it passed down to us from our parents, but we don't see a new generation of fans who may have been born in the UK or who have parents who grew up in the Caribbean. We don't see that generation coming behind us. And we just got talking about it, and we kind of felt that, particularly within the UK media, but maybe also the diaspora media, that there's been such a kind of hold to what the West Indies were. So you talk to your average fan about the West Indies, and within about 5 sentences, they will refer to a great in West Indies cricket. And that's basically from Lara backwards. But in the modern context, yes, okay, we're not a strong team, but there are actually talented players in the modern sphere of West Indies cricket, and we just felt that there was a gap missing in the media market that accurately focused on what was going on in West Indies cricket, and I guess when I say within the media market to get that out to the diaspora. So a lot of the people who listen, so we set up the podcast, and I guess a lot of the listeners that we get is we don't get a lot of listeners in the Caribbean. I mean, we get them, but they have the news in the Caribbean. A lot of our listeners are actually in the States, in the UK. There are 2 biggest markets, and that would make sense because the biggest Caribbean diaspora outside of the Caribbean is in America or it's in the UK. So we're kind of catering to the diaspora market to bring West Indies cricket to them. Well, that's the plan anyways.
That's good. And I particularly love the concept of you keeping the generational knowledge of cricket going, because I think that's a big gap, especially on Windies cricket. And we are starting to see that, reflecting that on fans going to the ground as well. Like if I have to watch CPL T20 tournament last year, of
Mm,
course there were no audience allowed in 2020, but in 2019
yes.
the tournament attracted crowd, but very less young crowd. I think all of them were on television or they did not show up on the ground. So it's good. Kudos to you guys for starting this. Great. So switching gears a little bit of the current cricketing tour of Bangladesh. Were you surprised with the team selection? It's an obvious question, but what's your reaction about the uh, kind of back out from your senior players versus now 9 uncapped players in the squad? So what's your reaction? What do you think is the Windies crowd thinking about that decision making from senior crowd?
So, I mean, there's going to be, it's obviously a hot topic in the Caribbean right now, and outside of the Caribbean. I think I think there's two kind of reactions to this. So first things first, and what I've said to anybody I've spoken to about it is that if these players genuinely pulled out because they have concerns about the bubble and the COVID secure bubble in Bangladesh, then I 100% back their decision. If because every player must stand by their own decision. If you have a concern, nobody can force you to play. And Cricket West Indies had made it clear to the players that if they have concerns, that it won't be held against them. They have a right to drop out. So in that sense, I'm kind of with the players. However, the minute the announcement was made, I pretty much said immediately, would they have done this if we were playing India? Would they have done this if we were playing England? Well, we played England. We went to England when England was ravaged with COVID. So we know that they wouldn't have done it. Only Darren Bravo, Shimron Hetmeyer, and Kemo Paul pulled out when the West Indies went to England. So there was a cynical part of me which said, this is an easy decision to make because we're playing Bangladesh. And I am not convinced they would have done this if we were playing one of the major cricket or top tier cricket nations. Um, Also, there's another side of it, which is that, and there's another side of it, which subsequently, given what Jason Holder's latest interview has said, which is what we thought at the time, which is actually, is this about the bubble and COVID, or is this more about people are just burnt out? The West Indies, by going to Bangladesh, the West Indies have gone to more countries than anybody else since cricket restarted, England, New Zealand, and now Bangladesh. And to me, it made sense if players were saying, well, we're just burnt out. We can't. This would be our third bubble, plus possibly a CPL bubble for those who took part, an IPL bubble if they took part in IPL as well, a BBL bubble if they took part in that as well. So genuinely, there may well be players who were actually just mentally they were gone. And Holder's latest interview has actually indicated that. But then that raises more questions for me, because why then was a press release put out that it was about COVID? If you're burnt out, just say you're burnt out, because everybody would understand, because the bubble lifestyle, we're not in the position as professional sportsmen, but we can understand that bubble after bubble after bubble after bubble, and for the West Indian players on half pay, I can understand why you would get to a stage where like, I need a break. So it's a bit of a weird situation. I don't hold it against them, but I think there could have been better clarity from the players as to why they pulled out. Or sorry, other reasons, I should say, why they pulled out. But now that they have pulled out, with the squad that has been named, there are opportunities for players who otherwise would not have got them. And I think that's my attitude now, is to look at the kind of uncapped players and say, listen, this is an opportunity you would never have got. So in some ways, I'm excited to see, can any of them put their name forward for selection, and more importantly, put pressure on the players that we consider to be first choice and undroppable players, and give difficult decisions to the selectors.
Yeah, it's a great point. You made a couple of them. One is, will they do if it was a non-Bangladesh tour? Because speaking from Indian fan perspective, Virat Kohli, as you know, took the paternal leave, and he got a lot of flack about taking leave and on tour. But like you said, he was upfront about it, saying that, hey guys, listen, my personal priority is something which I'm looking forward for
Mm.
spending time with family. So people were okay. People spoke about it, but people were okay that he was upfront about it. So it is an important point. And second area is uh, youngsters coming to the fore. The silver lining of what is happening, according to an independent fan view, if you ask me about Windies, is this will only make your bench strength stronger. And we are seeing that with India today
Mm.
on the ongoing series. With players getting injured, we went with a big squad, net bowlers now getting a chance to open the bowling. And
Mm.
if they do well, guess what? They are in for the long run, and there are IPL contracts coming their way. There are BBL contracts coming their way. So, in silver lining is Windies cricket can only get better